Beg your pardon. I didn't know you had anyone with you.
Mr. Gray. Dorian Gray? Lord Henry Wotton.
He was all his portrait promised. And it was plain to see that poor Basil already bored him. Will you smoke?
Harry, I want to finish this picture today. Would you think it rude of me to ask you to go away?
Am I to go, Mr. Gray?
Please don't. Basil is in one of his sulky moods, and I can't bear him then. If Lord Henry goes, then I shall go too. It is horribly dull standing on a platform trying to look pleasant.
Basil, you've often told me that you like sitters to have someone to chat to.
Since Dorian wishes it, of course you must stay. And remember that Lord Henry has a bad influence over all his friends.
All his friends, Basil?
With the single exception of myself.
Is that true, Lord Henry? Are you a bad influence?
There is no such thing as a good influence. Fear, shame, terror. These are the forces that drive mankind. The terror of society is the basis of morals, and the terror of God is the secret of religion. It is in the brain only that the great sins of the world take place. You, Mr. Gray, with your rose-red youth and your rose-white boyhood, have had passions that made you afraid, thoughts that have filled you with terror and shame.
You bewilder me.
You must not sit in the sunshine, Mr. Gray. Sunburn would be quite unbecoming.
What can it matter?
It should matter everything to you. You have the most marvelous youth, and youth is the one thing worth having.
I don't feel that, Lord Henry.
When you're old and wrinkled and ugly, when thought has seared your forehead with its hideous lines and passion branded your lips with hideous fires, you will feel it then, terribly. Beauty is a form of genius. It cannot be questioned. It makes princes of those who have it, as you do.
My lord.
Listen to me. Time is already jealous of you and will wage war on that youth. You will become sallow and hollow-cheeked and dull-eyed. You will suffer horribly. Don't squander youth. It never returns. Our limbs fail, our senses rot. We degenerate into hideous puppets haunted by the memory of the passions of which we were too much afraid and the exquisite temptations to which we had not the courage to yield. I watched the young man as he gazed at the shadow of his own loveliness and knew that one day what I said would become true. Time would claim him. He would wrinkle, grow dull, and be broken and deformed by age.
How sad it is. How sad. I shall grow old and horrible, but this picture will remain forever young. If only it were the other way around.
I should object most strongly to that.
I believe, Basil, you like your art better than your friends. How long will you like me? Until my first wrinkle? Lord Henry is right. Youth is the only thing worth having. When I find that I am growing old, I shall kill myself.
You mustn't talk like that. I shall never have such a friend as you.
I am jealous of everything whose beauty does not die. I am jealous of the portrait you have painted. Every moment that passes takes something from me and gives it to that portrait. Why did you paint it? One day it will mock me horribly. I hate it.
This is your doing, Harry.
It is the real Dorian Gray.
The picture is a part of myself. I feel it. There is nothing in the world that I would not give to remain as I am, and for the picture to grow old. I would give my soul for that.
Enough. Come with me to the theatre. Both of you.
A splendid notion.
Come, Mr. Gray, my hansom is outside.
He had promised to meet Basil Hallward, but he walked with me instead. It was the first of many such walks. We met often,
At friends, at my club, in my house. Never marry a woman with straw-colored hair, Dorian. They are so sentimental.
I like sentimental people.
Never marry at all. Men marry because they're tired, women because they're curious. Both are disappointed.
I'm unlikely to marry.
Really? And why is that?
I'm too much in love. That is one of your aphorisms, Harry.
With whom are you in love?
Her name is Sibyl Vane.
Never heard of her.
No one has. They will do. She is a genius.
My boy, no woman is a genius. Women represent the triumph of matter over mind, as men represent the triumph of mind over morals. How long have you known your genius?
About 3 weeks. It was your fault. After first meeting you, I was filled with a wild desire to know everything about life. As I lounged in the park or strolled down Piccadilly, I used to watch everyone who passed me with mad curiosity. I had a passion for sensations. I determined to go in search of an adventure.
An adventure?
Harry, why didn't you tell me that the only thing worth loving is an actress?
Because I have loved so many of them, Dorian. Tell me, what are your actual relations with Sibyl Vane?
Harry, she is sacred.
It is only the sacred things which are worth defiling. Why are you annoyed? She will belong to you one day. In love, one begins by deceiving oneself and ends by deceiving others.
I want you to come and see her act. She must play a West End theatre. I will see she does. Bring Basil, if you like.
Very well. Juliet, then, tomorrow.
Write to him. I don't want to see him alone. He says things that annoy me. He gives me good advice.
And people are fond of giving away what they need most themselves. It's what I call the depth of generosity.
He seems to me something of a Philistine.
Artists, my dear Dorian, exist simply in what they make, and consequently are perfectly uninteresting in what they are. I shall write to him. What a place to find one's divinity in.
You may smile, Harry. You may even mock the idea of my loving this girl. She trusts me implicitly. Her touch changes me. A look from her changes me. Those fascinating, delightful, poisonous theories of yours, they're all wrong. She is divine. You shall see.
And when she first stepped onto the stage, she did indeed look divine. She drew gasps of admiration even from the beasts swarming in the pit. Basil and I watched our dear friend while he watched the object of his love, and we pitied him. She was a complete failure, as everyone, even Dorian, could recognize. She is beautiful, Dorian, but she cannot act. Let us go.
I will see the play through. I'm awfully sorry that I've made you waste an evening, Harry. I apologize to you both.
My dear Dorian, I should think Miss Vane was ill. We will come some other night.
I wish it were illness. But she is cold. Entirely changed. Last evening, she was a great artist. Now she is commonplace. Mediocre.
Dorian, come with us. No need to grieve. You wouldn't want your wife to act, after all. So what does it matter if she plays Juliet like a wooden doll? She's very lovely. And if she knows as little about life as she does about acting, she will be a delightful experience.
Go away. Please. Just go. You have killed my love.
Dorian? No.
You stirred my imagination. Now you don't even stir my curiosity. I loved you because you were marvelous. A genius because you gave shape and substance to the shadows of art. Tonight I see you for the shallow, stupid girl you are. A third-rate actress with a pretty face.
Dorian, please, please.
Don't touch me. I wish I'd never laid eyes on you. What can you know of love if you said Mars your art? Without your art, you are nothing.
You're not serious, Dorian. You're acting.
I leave the acting to you. You do it so well.
Don't leave me. Say you love me. Don't leave me alone.
I don't wish to be unkind, but I can't see you again. You have disappointed me. Had I been cruel to Sibyl? If so, it was no great matter. Women are better able to bear sorrow than men. She was nothing to me now. Nothing. Yet the picture... It seemed to hold the secret of my life. I'd dared to love my own beauty. I admit as much. Would it teach me to loathe my own soul? It's the light. I'm tired. Nothing's changed. Nothing. I'll go and see the girl. Make amends. Yes. Give up Harry and his poisonous little theories. That's what I'll do tomorrow.
Dorian, I insist on seeing you.
Go away, Harry. Go away. I'm writing a letter to you. I left instructions.
A letter?
I've quite decided never to see you again.
Dorian, I'm very sorry for it all, but you must not blame yourself. You saw her, didn't you, last night, after the play was over?
Sibyl? Yes.
I felt sure you had. Did you make a scene with her?
I was perfectly brutal, Harry. But it's all right now. It has taught me to know myself better.
I'm so glad you take it that way. I was afraid I'd find you plunged in remorse.
I'm through all that. I now know what conscience is. It's not what you tell me. It's the divine in us. I want to be good. I can't bear the idea of my soul being hideous.
A charming artistic basis for ethics, Dorian. I congratulate you on it. And how do you propose to begin?
By marrying Sibyl Vane.
But, my dear Dorian...
She used to be my wife.
But didn't you get my letter? I sent it over by my own man.
I have not read it yet. I didn't want to. You cut life to pieces with your epigrams.
You know nothing, then?
Nothing?
Dorian, don't be frightened. My letter was to tell you that Sibyl Vane is dead.
It's not true. It's a lie. How dare you say that?
It is quite true, Dorian. It's in all the morning papers. There will be an inquest, of course. You must not be mixed up in it. Things like that make a man fashionable in Paris, but in London people are so prejudiced.
What happened? Tell me what happened.
They say she swallowed something. A mistake, of course. Something they use in theatres, prussic acid or white lead, or just very quick. Prussic acid, I should think.
Harry, dear God.
Yes. Yes, of course, it's very tragic. According to the standard, she was 17. She looked younger than that. She knew so little about acting.
I've murdered Sibyl Vane. What shall I do?
There is nothing you can do. Ignore it.
You have no idea of the danger I'm in, Harry. There is nothing to keep me straight. She would have done that for me.
If you married this girl, you would have been wretched. The only way a woman reforms a man is by boring him so much that he loses all interest in her. The whole thing would have been an absolute failure.
Why is it that I can't feel this tragedy as much as I want to?
What has really happened, Dorian? Someone has killed herself for love of you. I wish that I had ever had such an experience. It would have made me in love with love for the rest of my life.
She had no right to kill herself. It was selfish of her.
I assure you, Dorian, most women can sell themselves for a lost love without dying for it. Some wear sentimental colours. Never trust a woman who is fond of pink ribbons. Others fling their conjugal felicity in your face, yet others turn to religion. Nothing makes one so vain as being told one is a sinner. Sibyl Vane chose another, more surprising way. That's all.
I was terribly cruel to her.
Women appreciate cruelty more than anything. They have wonderfully primitive instincts. Dorian, don't waste tears on Sibyl Vane. She was less real than the part she played.
Harry, you have explained me to myself. You said something I felt but was afraid to say. We won't talk of it again. It has been a most marvellous experience. That's all?
That's all.
I wonder if life still has in store anything as wonderful.
There is nothing that you, with your extraordinary good looks, will not be able to do.
Suppose I become haggard and old and wrinkled.
Then you would have to fight for your victories. Now, dress and we'll drive down to the club.
I think I shall join you at the opera. I feel too tired to eat anything. You've been such a friend to me, Harry. Thank you.
Our friendship is only beginning.
My life is decided. Eternal youth. The picture does that for me. I have only to look in the mirror to see it's true. No lines, no cruel cast to the mouth or the eyes. I'm truly free. I can have all those and there will be no change. I shall kiss the lips of the portrait and thank it for bearing the burden of whatever shame might burden me. It will be a mirror of my life.
Did you see the notice in the St. James this evening?
I don't believe I did.
The inquest. Sibyl Vane. Death by misadventure, it seems. Her mother was much affected.
And I have no wish to be Harry. None whatsoever. I spent the afternoon reading that book you sent me. I was fascinated. More wine?
I thought you'd like it.
I didn't say I liked it, Harry. I said it fascinated me.
Oh, so you've discovered the difference. I'm so pleased.
Now, the story's true. He debauches himself and whomever he touches.
Not me, my friend. Nor you.
I hardly see him now. Not since the portrait. Since you took him away. I regret that. I've never painted as well, as truthfully.
He lives for the gratification of the senses, Basil. A sensuous life that corrodes most seems to revitalize him. Were you at the costume ball when he came as Anne de Joyeuse in a dress covered with 560 pearls?
I was not.
What a subject it would have made.
If he'd allowed me to paint him, which I doubt.
Oh?
Does he ever show you the portrait? His portrait?
I asked him once, and he flew into such a temper I have never dared ask since.
I haven't seen it for years.
I followed him once into the stews of London, to the doors of vile women, degraded boys. He walked in, greeting them each by name, laughing, touching. I was revolted by it.
Even you?
Even me.
Men hate him, you know, sneer at him.
Are afraid of him. Yet his wealth is his security. Society, civilized society at least, is never very ready to believe anything to the detriment of those who are both rich and fascinating. Manners are of more importance than morals. Respectability is of much less value than the possession of a good chef.
You're incorrigible.
One does one's best.
It's as if some poison is infecting him.
Poison comes to a man in many ways, Basil. Think of the Renaissance. You could be poisoned by an embroidered glove, a jeweled fan, a gilded pomander, an amber chain, a book.
Book.
Evil, Basil, may simply be a mode through which to realize beauty.
And I shall pray for him. And for you.
Harry, how good to see you.
Dorian!
If you'll excuse me, Lord Henry.
Are you going my way, John?
Good night, Harry.
Good night, Harry.
My apologies, Dorian.
It seems sad when I have quite decided to be good.
You're quite perfect as it is. Why change?
No, Harry. I've done too many dreadful things in my life. I'm not going to do any more. I began my good actions yesterday.
The girl you were seeing in the country, the vicar's daughter, was she unwilling to be corrupted?
She was beautiful. Quite beautiful. I spared her. She was wonderfully like Sibyl Vane. You remember the actress? How long ago that was.
I remember her. Poor actress. Beautiful child.
Hetty was so like her. Neither of our class, of course. But I loved her. And she was besotted by me. Yesterday she met me in an apple orchard. Blossoms kept tumbling on her hair and she was laughing. We were to have gone away together at dawn.
But you spared her.
I determined to leave her as I found her. Innocent as the day.
I should think the novelty must have given you a thrill of real pleasure. You gave her good advice instead and broke her heart.
Harry, you're horrible. She cried, of course, but she can live. Pure. Unsullied.
To be married to some dull ploughman or a doctor's third son.
Harry, stop mocking me. And don't try to persuade me that the first good action I've done for years is really a sort of sin. You can tell me what is happening in town.
People are still discussing Basil's disappearance.
I should have thought people might be tired of that by now.
Well, the British public is not equal to the mental strain of having more than one topic to discuss every 3 months. They have been very fortunate lately. They've had my own divorce case and Alan Campbell's suicide.
So what do you think has become of Basil?
If he chooses to hide himself, it is no business of mine. If he is dead, I don't want to think about him. Death is the only thing that terrifies me. One can survive everything nowadays except death and vulgarity.
Don't people say he was murdered?
Why should he have been murdered? He was not clever enough to have enemies. He was really rather dull. He only interested me once, when he told me years ago that he had a wild adoration for you, and that you were the dominant motive of his art.
I was fond of him.
Basil had no curiosity. It was his chief defect.
What would you say if I told you that I had murdered him?
I would say, my dear fellow, that you were posing for a character that doesn't suit you. All crime is vulgar, just as all vulgarity is crime.
Believe me, Harry.
I'm sorry to hurt your vanity, but I assure you it is not true. It is not in you, Dorian, to commit murder. I saw a man in Hyde Park last Sunday. He had a little crowd of uncouth Christians about him. He asked them, what was it? What doth it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? What do you say to that?
Why do you ask me that, Harry?
I thought maybe you could give me an answer.
Harry, the soul is a terrible reality. I know it is.
No.
Don't mock. There is a soul in each of us.
Do you feel quite sure of that, Dorian?
Quite sure.
Then it must be an illusion. The things one feels absolutely certain about are never true.
You're so wrong, Harry.
How serious you are. How lovely that thing you are playing is. What a blessing it is that there is one art left to us that is not imitative. You know, the tragedy of old age is not that one is old, but that one is young. How I wish I could change places with you. I'm glad you have never done anything, never produced anything outside of yourself. Life has been your art.
Life has been exquisite. But I'm not going to have the same life, Harry. You don't know anything about me. If you did, even you would turn from me.
Oh.
Don't laugh.
You and I will always be friends.
You poisoned me with a book once. Never give that book to anyone. Promise me, it does harm.
You are beginning to moralize, my dear boy. You're too delightful to do that. Art annihilates the desire to act. It is superbly sterile. The books that the world calls immoral are books that show the world its own shame.
Good night, Harry.
Good night, Dorian.
Harry.
My dear?
No matter. I want so much to become again what I was. How can I when I corrupted myself and others and joyed in it? I wonder if my first act of goodness, letting that country girl go without defiling her, does that show in the picture? Under the cloth, behind the screen, it must have changed. It was the pinnacle of my work. I loved him.
I would do anything to earn it.
Dear God, let me see one mark of goodness and change. If every decent thing I do shows, then one day I can wipe away the horror. It's worse than before. There's blood on my hands. More blood. Glistening. Fresh. How can that be when I let that girl go untouched?
I should think the novelty must have given you a thrill of real pleasure.
Vanity? Was that all it was?
That's not true!
Vanity? Hypocrisy? To satisfy my own curiosity?
No!
The blood. It's still wet. Basil's blood. Must I live with his murder forever? Must I confess? Give myself up? That awful face, those slug-like eyes, mean, vicious mouth, always there, showing myself to myself, exposing my soul. I'll destroy it.
I'll destroy it!
The knife that killed the painter. How appropriate. To take up the knife again. To cut away this thing in the canvas that infects my life. To slash it to oblivion and free myself. Kill this monstrous soul life and be at peace.
Yes! Yes!
Thy doing, take thy plague away from me.
I have the portrait of Dorian Gray. It's all he left me. It's exquisite. He is there as he was when Basil painted him in the wonder of his youth and beauty. They found a man in evening dress with a knife in his heart. He was withered, wrinkled, and loathsome to look at. It was not until they examined the rings on his bloated fingers that they recognized who it was.